What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Sip Off, where we have drinks and we talk all things basketball, all levels. It's been a while since we've been on, so I'm just going to go ahead and get my guests on right now. We haven't been able to catch up with each other in probably 5 months. Baseball season is long. So, all right, first, we're going to welcome Steve Shawanda. What's up, Steve?
My queen of hoops. What's up, Megan? How we doing?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing good. What? Whose autograph ball is that behind you?
It's actually not autographed, but it is a WNBA ball. So I will. Cool. It'll be autographed eventually.
There you go. I like it.
Oh, all right, and we have Cool McCain in here as well. What's up, Cool?
What up, y'all?
Hey, it's been a while. Gosh, it's been since April. My bad, y'all.
All good. It's all good.
We may not play 160 some odd games, but we play like 140 some odd games. So, and I'm not at every single one of them, but I'm at quite a few of them.
Yeah, no, that's a long season for sure.
It is, and we do other stuff as well. Like Saturday we're going to be doing cameras and sound for the symphony is going to be performing at the stadium also, and so I get to be a part of that. Have done some other stuff, other concerts. So it's just been a jam-packed spring and summer. So, but we are nearing the end of WNBA season. So I'm sure some of our topics are going to be WNBA related, but feel free to talk about any level of ball. You want to talk NBA, you want to talk high school, I don't care. So let's start it off. Let's talk about something. Y'all want to talk about Caitlin? Y'all want to talk about Angel? Y'all want to talk about Nancy Lieberman and Cheryl Swoops? What y'all want to talk about?
Oh my God, man.
I want to say one thing. It's nice to be on with multiple people who actually followed the WNBA before Caitlin Clark got there.
Right.
This is a direct shot at people like Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith, and all of you Johnny come latelys that are, I told you Caitlin Clark was going to be good. I told you that. Oh, wow. What a shock. You told us Caitlin Clark was going to be good in the WNBA. What a shock. A woman had to put most of the team on her back in college was going to be good in the WNBA. Boy, that's like saying LeBron was going to be good in the NBA. Congratulations.
I think about that when you bring up LeBron. I think because they crowned him the next Jordan before, and it wasn't even necessary. Like his talent was going to put him in that conversation regardless. And I think it's the same thing with Caitlin. Like they don't need to do anything extra for her because her talent backs it up. And I'm not even, y'all know, I'm not the biggest Caitlin fan. She don't play for my team, so it's not a dig at Caitlin. But I mean, I'm gonna ride the Enrique train until I'm done with the Wings.
Well, I have to ride someone else's train because no one on my team this year has done enough for me to ride their train. So I think I'm gonna hop over on Enrique with you because she's outplayed.
I'm jumping ship. I'm going to the Bay. I'm gonna be a Valkyries fan next. They're
just
purple.
For player.
I can't help it. They're purple.
I mean, I'll stay with Atlanta, but no one on the team has done enough this year. That's why we have like 11
Tina
wins.
Charles?
Consistency matters. We got 11 wins. I don't want to hear from none of them until we win more than 11 games.
I understand that. I definitely understand that. I know when we won a game last week, someone was tagging me like, "Oh my God, y'all won a game! It was our 9th win, y'all. I don't care."
You guys won a game.
Y'all didn't have half of your team for the first half of the season until you got back from the Olympics, and you almost have as many wins as we do.
Right. Well, but y'all had Ryan was out, and then y'all have a problem with coaching. Okay, we got another guest. Hold on.
We can do.
What's up?
I can't even lie.
You're muted, hon.
Yeah. Unmute. Before you drop your power. There we go.
What's up?
I'm just
we were just kind of talking about the woes of our teams because obviously I'm a Dallas fan when it comes to the WNBA, and Cool is an ATL fan, and it's been a rough season for both of us. So,
I didn't want to say it was coaching, but
you didn't want to say it was coaching. Well, I mean, I'll say it. I'm sorry. It's
but
not my team. It's not my team.
You're right. It is coaching. It's coaching.
It is, man. And I hate to call for a woman's job because I don't agree with that, But Tanisha Wrong is not doing it right at all.
So
Storm and Liberty are playing right now.
I will let you guys know if you question certain things, you can get removed from the list of media for a WNBA team.
Shut up. Oh, well, don't feel bad. I had some issues. Just I had a lot going on in my life the last year. That's kind of why our schedule has been in and out. But Wings wanted me to be at 75% of the home games. I live 6 hours away.
Yeah.
So
Green wanted me to be at a good amount, and I'm like, I live in Charlotte. You're in Atlanta.
Right.
Are we talking about comping hotels and stuff? Like what we're doing here? No. Okay.
Oh, no, I think this is a really important one right here. And I think this is something important to talk about because we've had some announcements this week about expansion. And so the Portland team is going to be announced on September 10th. We don't have a logo. We don't have a name yet, but I think that'll come with that announcement as well. They were bought by the Bithell family, which the Bithell family just bought the Portland Thorns this year for $65 million, which is their women's national soccer league team. And as we know, MLS may not be super successful on the men's side, but on the women's side, it is incredibly successful. So, I think obviously they know how to run a team. They're coming in with experience. I think the dad is one of the main owners, and then the two kids are the ones that do the day-to-day operations, and they're running the soccer team currently. So experience at that level, at least maybe not with a W team, but experience at that level, I think is important. I was a little disappointed because it seemed like Kathy, we had this announcement last year. We were thinking it was going to be Portland and the Bay regardless, right? Well, they pulled out of it because what is the center that they play at MOBA Center there? The Trailblazers playing. Well, it's under construction. It's having renovations, and so the ladies will not be able to play for at least 2 seasons there. And I think Kathy was like, we want them to hit the ground running. We want them to be in their facility right away. And that's why they kind of pulled out of Portland there for a minute. Well, I guess enough money was thrown into the situation that they were like, you know what, I guess fuck it. We're going to go ahead and go to Portland. What are y'all's thoughts on that? What do y'all want out of expansion? Because we have more teams coming. They want to be at 16 teams. Golden State puts us at 13. Portland puts us at 14. Toronto puts us at 15. So we still got one team available. I do think that Jay brings up a really good point. The league doesn't feel right without the comments.
Bring back the Sting.
Yeah. I get it.
I miss the shock. I miss the shock. I mean, I got to be an Indiana Fever fan because we don't have a Michigan team. So, luckily I love Caitlin Clark, but still, it's just, I miss the shock so much. Obviously, then they moved to Tulsa, then they moved again. But, I do like the expansion. I think Portland, at least when the Blazers are good, they've shown that they've been really good basketball fans. And, I think I don't want to mess up I think it's NSWL, whatever. The
NWLS.
Yeah, I don't want to miss up the order of it. But yeah, they have good fans, and I love soccer. So I think Portland's going to be successful. I think Golden State. If they get Paige, you're going to get good attendance and good ratings right off.
Well, and so they haven't specified either how the draft's going to work free agency as well, because they're going to get players from teams as well. They're going to get free agents. So also, Jay, I think that's really important too. I think it's really important to bring back the teams that have championships. Now, this may not apply for the Monarchs because you got the team going into the Bay, and that kind of nullifies the need for the team there in Sacramento. However, I mean, they do have a championship, and you can't tell the history of the W without that. But especially the Detroit Shock. Shout out to Bill Lambier, and then definitely Houston, of course. Like the league doesn't feel right without those two teams, and the Shock, it still exists. They're back. They're just not in the WNBA. And so I think that there's an avenue that's already been started to bring back the Detroit Shock. So that is a plausible possibility. Okay, we got Jen Matthews Lewis in here too. What's up, Jen?
Hey, Megan. Cool.
Yeah.
What's up, Steve?
Hey,
It's becoming a party. What's up?
Yeah,
I know, but I'm not gonna be on long because I gotta run for
I think Jen would agree with me that even though they don't have a championship, that the Sting should come back and have an opportunity to win a championship.
I would agree with you on that. And you know what? I think Cole would agree with me on the fact that we would be first in line for press passes and media credentials.
I would definitely agree with that.
One thing about the Sting fans, I'll say, they were dedicated. So when they lost their team, it was because of money mismanagement. But those fans would stand in line and wait for the doors to open, and then they would all rush down to the lower seats because if those seats weren't sold, they would let them move down. And so it was a frenzy for them to even get their seats, and they were so excited to be there. So I would love to see some classics.
And also, first of all, with the Hornets and the Sting playing in that arena, that was honestly one of the hardest arenas to play basketball in.
Really?
And George, what?
I said, really?
Yeah. I mean, even Michael Jordan, and I think that's why Michael Jordan bought the Hornets later on, because he said playing in Charlotte was the toughest arena he ever had to play in because we were so loud.
Interesting.
Well, and then too, they would automatically be the best professional basketball team in Charlotte.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And George Shin kind of destroyed everything. Say that again, Cole. What'd you say?
I said they'd automatically be the best professional basketball team in Charlotte.
Oh, the Sting? Yes.
Yes.
But George Shin also really killed the Hornets and the Sting too. It wasn't just financials because, he was running out of money. So in that respect, but he actually know the victim's cousin, but he raped a young lady in town. He had to spend a lot of money doing that. Then he, unabashedly moved the team to New Orleans. And then subsequently, the team was taken from him and run by the NBA for a while before they had the new buyer. So, and I'm forgetting his name, but he also owned the Saints, and now his wife does. But yeah, the Hornets have kind of a yucky history, and it's not necessarily the player's fault. And Jay, that was you, honey.
Yeah, shout out to the Pelicans, because if they never changed their name to the Pelicans, we never would have got the Hornets back. Now, I'm not a big Hornets fan, but the city of Charlotte loved the Hornets, so I'm happy for the Charlottonians.
Yeah.
Question: Speaking of the Hornets, how many more years is Ball staying there?
I actually think Ball would be here for a while longer, as long as we keep moving in the right direction.
I mean, he's gonna keep getting paid to get hurt. I wouldn't leave.
Right.
That's true.
And you're in North Carolina too.
Sure.
Yeah.
True.
I think he has the most promise out of all three of them. I'm excited to see Lonzo Ball come back, though. He's somebody that plays the position of true point guard really well, and I think that that's something that's not necessarily utilized a ton in the NBA anymore, or even in the W actually. So there's a lot of combination players, and I just love the way that he's such a facilitator. I love his court vision. So I'm excited to see him come back. I do think that Melo stays for at least one more contract. So 4 years.
And then, if he decides he wants to win a championship, he'll go somewhere else.
Yeah. But I don't know about you, Cole, but Are you still hearing the whispers that when Steph gets closer to retirement, he'd come back home and he'd play for the Hornets for a season or two?
I'm hearing the Lakers are looking at him.
Well, I'm sure they are because there's a certain player on the Lakers that really want him, and Steph has already turned him down a couple of times.
I hate LeBron so much. I'm a LeBron hater. I can admit.
You're a LeBron hater. I'm not the biggest fan. I'll say this: it's I respect his talent. He will always be the competition for me. So fuck him.
What's the crazy part is I'm a Lakers fan, but I hate LeBron.
I know a lot of Lakers fans like that actually.
Yeah,
they just feel like he's holding their team hostage.
Yeah, I don't want to do a show with tomorrow night. He said the same thing. He would say we can't win until LeBron retires or leaves the Lakers.
I don't even count that bubble chip. That's
right. I've heard a lot of people say that too.
No,
chip's a chip, but it's kind of
It does feel like a consolation championship, but I do like tournament style ball. So it was a nice switch up, and I think I was just appreciative to have any sports whatsoever at that moment. So I don't necessarily put an asterisk next to it like I do with the Houston Astros.
Yeah. It was very. It felt like AAU, very high level.
Yes, yeah, it did feel like AAU.
There was a whole lot of profanity too. We learned a different side.
Oh yeah, we heard those on the mics. That was the best part. I'm like, they get that now. There's no crowd noise whatsoever, and you can't even put the fake crowd noise. It looks silly.
Let's go back to this comment right here. So, I don't want to say doomed. I think they're way ahead of schedule right now.
Mm-hmm.
When they moved Marina Mabry to Connecticut, I felt like that kind of lifted everything that was left from James Wade, to be honest. James Wade, what did he spend 4 first-round first picks to get Marina from the Wings? And she just never quite fit there. Right. It was too much. I'm sorry. I like Marina. I'm a Marina fan. She's crazy. She's one of my favorites. I think that I'm just sitting back waiting for her to punch somebody in the mouth because she's one to do it. And I like that. So anyway, I think she fits in with Connecticut well. And I think it opens up the direction for the Chicago Sky because you don't go after the 2 and the 4 pick. You don't go after Camila or 2 and 7, whatever. You don't go after those picks and not want to redesign your offense because you have these twin towers, obviously, and then you got Kennedy as well. Kennedy is a great guard too. So do you need a veteran? Yeah, that's what you need. You would have had that if you would have showed any interest in Skylar Diggins-Smith because she wanted to come there. But
I don't think they need an all-star look. I just think they just need a strong starter. I can't think of one right now. But they just need a strong starter just to facilitate.
Yeah, they need a lead guard, someone who plays.
Which they can get out of this next draft. They don't have to get the top 5, 6 pick to still get a really good guard coming out of this next draft.
And this late run, obviously they've had other injury issues as well too. So they're not anywhere close to full strength right now.
Well, Kennedy hasn't played in 2 weeks, a week and a half. She's had COVID really bad.
There's a reason why they're 1-8 since the Olympic break. It's not, the trade, and yes, they could use some more pieces, but they also are not even 100% of who they thought they were going to have. I still think they're ahead of schedule. I'll say that because when you have that high of draft picks, you're going through a rebuild. It just is what it is, So I think that they're ahead of schedule. They're moving in that direction of so we're starting to figure out who we are. We are missing a couple of pieces. We're missing some experience, and that'll come with time, obviously. But to me, I think we thought that they were going to be where Dallas is right now. Struggling.
So, I mean, I know I'm going with one specific, but what do you guys think of both Angel and Caitlin being up for Roy? Do y'all think that they could share it?
Oh, I hate that. I hate that idea. I hated it when they did it. I'm sorry. My rookie of the year when they did it in the NBA will always be Grant Hill. Not a Jason Kidd fan. I don't care. It was Grant Hill for me.
Grant Hill before his injury was
for
disgusting.
me in that season. We're not talking about career wise. We're talking about
Even
in that season.
Even
in that season, for me, my rookie of the year, and also FYI, my rookie of the year Ben Simmons won it, was not Ben Simmons. It was Donovan Mitchell.
I feel like if Grant Hill never got injured, Grant Hill in Orlando would have gotten a chip, and he would have at least gotten a league MVP. Like he was there with Tracy McGrady also. But that's hypothetical.
That's definitely a topic for when we don't have a ton of other things to talk about. But like the what if Grant Hill didn't get hurt or Derrick Rose didn't get hurt, which one would that's always the fun. Which Derrick Rose already had an MVP, but Grant Hill is, and I live in Michigan, so I watch a lot of Pistons games. Grant Hill is.
I think what I dislike to the rookie of the year conversation that they're doing right now is when they compare stats between the two young ladies. Like they play two different positions. Like they're not going to they're not going to look right. They play two different positions. But rookie of the year is Caitlin. I mean, come on, y'all.
But so I agree 200%. And
I know why it'll go to Caitlin. I get that hype, but I don't know. I like Angel a little bit more. Maybe I'm wrong, but
no, it's okay. It's okay to have preferences. Like I feel like I prefer defense, and Caitlin is a liability on defense sometimes. And so for me, that's just a preference and style. But when we go to numbers and stats, she hit the ground running as soon as the break happened. And I don't know if that was in spite of sides or sides helped. I don't really know. I still have question marks when it comes to Christy Sides, but I also think that her teammates are finding the role a little bit better as well.
So I got a comparison with that. So most recently, I kind of almost put my foot down. I'm going Caitlin Clark, right? So we look at statistically, Angel Reese overshadows her. You take away the names and sex, you just look at stats, right? But the conversation, anytime, the future will always look at stats unless they look at video, right? That's kind of the argument between the Kobe, LeBron, and MJ and all that kind of talk. But when you do the eyeball test, Caitlin Clark is closing games. Angel Reese is flopping because she doesn't have a freaking mid-range jump shot. You know what I mean?
Neither one of them have Neither one of them have
I hate to say this. If I was, the coach, I get it. Angel Reese has a bigger name than Cardoso, but in certain games, I would have been yo, get her the ball, let her go to work because she can get it. She's a real post player. They go to Angel Reese. I get it, star power. But she can't hit that mid-range, and then she starts flopping, and then she's getting a rebound. She's going back up. She's getting a rebound. Oh, of course she's in double digits. You're the female Dwight Howard. However, I love Angel Reese.
Hold up before you go any further.
I do too. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to stop because I'm going to go hang out with Alan for a little bit and watch some foosball.
No problem. We're so glad you came.
Good night. Foosball's the devil, Jen. Foosball's the devil. Sorry.
Okay, well, Steve, I'll see you in Germany.
Bye, Jen.
All right, so really quick, and I'm wearing Caitlin Clark jersey, so obviously I love Caitlin Clark. I just want to quickly, and this is why, because they are completely different players, and I hate that you have to badmouth one to praise the other one, right? So let me just quickly. I know.
Because I don't.
Talking heads on TV. Yeah, talking heads on TV. Sorry. Feel like you have to badmouth one to. So the whole notion that all Angel Reese does is get her own offensive rebounds because she can't shoot. Now, yes, she is shooting 38% overall from the field.
But we knew this. We knew this going in. We knew this.
Hold on. I got numbers. I did research, Megan. I got numbers.
Okay.
So it's 38% to 42 overall, 39 to 56 on twos, obviously 15 to 34 on threes, because obviously Angel's not a three-point shooter, and 90 to 72 on free throws. But the last 5 games, here's Angel Reese's offensive rebounds: 2, 7, 2, 4, and 10. but her defensive rebounds are 14, 12, 9, 10, and 12 in those same exact games. So it's not that she just throws it up and gets her own offensive rebounds. She's getting almost 10 defensive rebounds a game too. So I just want to put an end to the whole, all she does is miss shots to get her own offensive rebounds. That's ridiculous. It's not true. I just had to say it wearing a Caitlin Clark jersey. I love Angel Reese. Like,
and I don't think that there's a rivalry between the two of them. I don't think either one of them will sit there and say that there's a rivalry between the two of them. They don't play the same position. They're not guarding each other. It's not like that.
It's not a real rivalry, but then they've been playing against each other since AAU.
They have. No, they have.
I've seen their game at Boo Williams down in Virginia Beach. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not really a rivalry, but yeah. So, you know, I get what you're saying. I mean, statistically, they're both double doubles, you know, and then when you go head to head, Caitlin Clark is 3-1, Angel Reese 1-3 head to head, like, you know, but either one of them could get it. But I personally think Caitlin has an edge just because when I'm watching games, I'm looking for that person who shows up in the fourth quarter a little bit more than the other.
Yeah. And I can get that, but I also want to sit there and say, I think Caitlin walked into a situation that's a little different than, okay, so Chicago is where, Chicago is where Indiana was 2 years ago. And they've had a couple of number 1 picks. They've had a number 2 pick. This is their coach's second year. Like, I think this is where Chicago's going to be in a season or two. Like, they're going to be where Indiana is. They're not at the same place yet.
Right. It's still an impressive thing that after having back-to-back number 1 picks. So again, which obviously Atlanta Boston's a very good player, but even after having her, they still got the number 1 pick, this year to get Caitlin Clark. So the fact
you got to be bad for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, we got Wemby down in San Antonio and we won the exact same amount of games, like the exact same amount.
The Fever haven't been to the playoffs since 2016, and they've already clinched that. And after their terrible 1-8 start where they played 11 games in 20 days, now they actually got the Olympic break. They actually got some practice. And now they're 7-1 since the Olympic break. And, Caitlin's averaging 24, 9, and 6 in those games. So it's like, hey, you got a little rest and Angel too, because she had a long, run as well. The fact that the college season ends like a week before the draft, and then you go right into it. Like, this is the year where that Olympic break really helped those rookies because truthfully, they were tired and needed the break. So now I feel like this break has helped where the Fever are clicking, but in their last couple games, yes, they have, and no offense to you guys, they do have the Dream Wings and Mystics, but they also have Minnesota tomorrow.
But I will say this: their first half of their schedule was insane. Like their first few weeks. Whoa!
They still have they still have the Lynx tomorrow. They have Minnesota tomorrow, and then they do have the Aces twice too in those last couple.
And
I'll
say this about Washington, because far be it for me to say something good about Washington because of how they're doing Deladon, but they're not even tanking right. Like, they're not supposed to be winning these ball games. They're supposed to be going after draft picks.
So I'll say this. Caitlin Clark has been the rookie of the year since her senior year in college. All she had to do was not lose it. Let's be 100% honest here. Someone would have had to come in and have ridiculous, amazing numbers to even really challenge her for a season. The people that vote already made a decision. So, and that's not a problem. She's not the only person it's happened to. It's not a Caitlin Clark thing.
Right.
This is what happens. This is what happens with rookies. And Leah Boston last year, for instance.
Right.
Someone would have had to come in and have just ridiculous numbers across the board to not allow Leah Boston to be rookie of the year. They've already made these decisions a lot of times ahead of time. So it's just a matter of if you play good enough, you're still going to win the award.
So I want to go back to this one.
I was going to touch on that one.
Yeah, I think that we knew that this is exactly who Angel was whenever she was at LSU in Maryland. Down at LSU, they're part of the SEC, and let's be honest, the biggest competition is South Carolina, and that's about it. You got Tennessee, you got Kentucky, who have had star players. They have not had star-studded teams like South Carolina and LSU. And so she did run around bullying everybody in the SEC except for South Carolina. You know, Vanderbilt has a couple of good squads every now and then. Coach Yo over at Ole Miss, she got a couple of star players, but they're not going to put up the same fight. Or in NC State, obviously, like we saw what they did in the tournament this last year. They put together decent teams, but they're not the same caliber as LSU and SEC. So she was able to play her game without having to grow her game. And I put that more on Kim Mulkey. Y'all know I do not like age like Milk Kim. I just don't like her. I don't think that she helps her players. I think she uses them. I think she runs them into the dirt. And she sent Angel to the league. I don't want to say that she was not ready for the league because she's come in and done really well. It's rookie season. She's done really well. I don't have any criticism. Give her an off season. Give her some time to see if she works on her layups because, good God, she's coming with her layups from her hips, y'all. You know, like the shooting form is terrible when you really break it down. So give her an off season to really work. Now she is going to be a part of Unrivaled. So I don't know if I like that move for her or not, to be honest. It's 3-on-3. I mean, make the money. Go get the money so you don't have to go overseas. I don't criticize that part at all. I don't know if working on your 3-on-3 game is what you need to be doing right now. Like, I think you need to be working on your shooting form, most importantly, and getting in better form with your teammates. That's what I want to see you do in the offseason, not necessarily play for Unrivaled. But I understand money's money, and Unrivaled's paying well.
So I'd like, for me, with Angel Reese, definitely I agree. She is who she was in college, right? She hasn't had a chance except for this 3-week break here, 3.5 weeks or whatever,
right,
to really work on improving her game. So the question becomes in the offseason, are you going to go and work on your passing? You know, are you going to work on your mid-range shot? Are you going to work on your ball handling, your pump fakes? You know, all the things that you need to work on, your post moves. You know, Angel Reese is what, 6'3"?
Yeah.
So she's not down there as like a 6'5", ball dominant center type player. She's got to use some finesse. She's got to get a little floater, a little mid-range shot. Those are things that she's got to work on.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that she understands that her game needs to improve, and she's going to work on that during the offseason. Maybe she feels like doing the 3-on-3 is going to help her with some of those aspects because you won't have the full team. You'll have to handle the ball more. You'll have to pull up more. You'll have to do some of the things that maybe she wants to work on. But that can't be all she does. She's really got to get in the lab, and she's really got to say, all right, we got some things to work on. I'm going to be a better player. Because I think she's
now, if she comes back next season and she's on these same percentages and she's on these same shooting forms and we don't see any growth, then I'm ready to be like, okay, man, what are you doing? But as of right now, I'm like, give her a little bit of time.
Yeah, and I think she can go from someone that was a rookie of the year candidate to most improved player next year.
I can see that.
First WNBA team.
I can see that too. I could definitely see that too.
That's the thing is, we're saying all these things about what she has to work on. If you're a rookie and you're averaging 13 and 13, I mean,
you just had the terrible luck to come in the rookie class with Caitlin because Caitlin is picking up crazy numbers.
Yeah, like we literally picked apart her game for 10 minutes and she's averaging 13 and 13. Right. And she does have things to work on. And I do believe that she will because I think this is my take. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think she's really good at doing everything. And I think she can be at a game and she can be a model and show pictures if she wants to, because she's a beautiful woman, but she's still working. Like she can still be in the gym a couple hours a day and still do a photo shoot. She can still, be on a 3-on-3, which is great because in 3-on-3, like you said, you have to pass, you have to handle, you have to move without the ball, you have to set screens, you have to shoot it.
I mean, you do. I just don't know how much that is going to trickle over to who she is in the W. I see a lot of ladies that once they play for it, like even Team USA 3-on-3, that sit there and say, hey, it was good for the moment, but I'm not going back. Because the rules are different, like it's different. And the physicality is much different. You don't have fouls. And I'm sorry, if you have that type of mentality of no fouls and you come back to 5-on-5 and you have that same mentality, your basketball IQ is going to suck.
But talking with the fact that she has Cardoso as well is really, to me, like she should be in the high post and they should be going high-low like all the time.
What
so
they
like
need
she
to
should
do,
be working on mid-range jump shots and her passing ability.
What Spoon needs to do is go back and watch videos of when Liz Cambage left the Aces and all they had was De'Erica Hamby and Asia going back and forth between the 4 and the 5. And they played really fast-paced ball, small ball, and you run that type of game with Cardoso and her. Cardoso going to have to work on her speed.
All right, you can't be stagnant all the time. You can't just be roaming around the block.
Right. Talk about stagnant all the time. Big T, the center position with Dallas, whether it's Kalani, whether it's Big T, the center position with Dallas is slow-moving, lacking effort, very disappointed. So I'm not going to talk about Dallas a whole lot. Let's talk about one of our favorite rookies that is not a part of the big two. I think one of the most underrated ones is Kate Martin. I think Vegas looks so different without her on the floor. They need so much bench help. And until she gets healthy enough to have all those minutes again, I think they look pretty lost without Kate Martin on the bench.
Yeah. And obviously what a great thing that she literally is at the draft supporting Caitlin. You know, she's sitting in the seats. And I'm sure somebody got a word or something because there was a camera on.
Well, yeah, no, they told her, they were like, hey, you got to come over here.
Right. But, she wasn't sure. And, for her to be drafted and then, it's an overused term, but she's the perfect glue player, right? Like she's that player that you need a Kate Martin on your team if you're a winning team, right? Like she's not going to score 20. She's not going to have 10 assists and 10 rebounds, but she's the glue. She is everything that you want. And shout out to my girl, Raina Harmon, who's an assistant at Iowa. So I have a little bit of inside information on this. So I know, the kind of person and player she is and how hard she works. So, it's great to see her succeed, given the chance to succeed, and what a great fit. And you saw how quickly Asia and those girls trusted her and were, close to her. Kind of just showed is that they knew, how hard she worked. And, for them, you hope she gets healthy, but at the end, even without her, I think at the end of the day, it's still a 4-team race between, Aces, Minnesota, New York, and Connecticut. But we'll see. You never know. But
I don't trust Connecticut. I think that acquiring Marina definitely helps with the shooting woes that they have. But when it comes to a series, I don't think they're out shooting anybody. Maybe one game, but that's it. What are y'all's do y'all have any rookies that y'all enjoy besides CC and Angel?
You're muted.
That would help. Rakia Jackson.
Yeah. Okay, you want to talk about efficiency?
Yep. Third rookie in the history of the Sparks to do so. I believe the other two, if I remember, were the real CP3 and Lisa Lester. So I've loved watching her game this season and not getting the same shine as other people. That's okay. I think Cameron Brink getting hurt affected her a lot as well.
Agreed.
That's going to be a really good 1-2 punch. And the difference between that and what you want to do with someone like Angel and Camilla is one is a guard, one is a big. You're talking about two bigs, so there has to be a different synergy between them. High lows are going to always work with Camilla. After you do that a few times, anybody with a half a brain is going to say, get on her. So you got to find ways to use both of them high, low. You got to find ways to put them in between. One of them has to be able to step out and make a jump shot because it opens the middle for the other one. If both of them learn how to do that, that makes it even more dangerous. So I think a big thing is the versatility. Bigs now, men's and women's basketball have to be versatile. Mm-hmm. And that's something that Angel's going to have to do a lot of work on. If you want to take maybe one or two things at a time and work on, that's fine too. If you develop that mid-range jump shot, that'll take a lot of the pressure off, and it'll give you so much more of your repertoire. People have to step back from you, or they'll have to come at you. They can't just play you in the middle and see if you're going to try to run through them. So I think you'll get a lot better out of her. But Rakia is a young lady who I think is going to be a dog in a year or two. And while she's not getting the same shine as some of the other players, just keep watching.
I think coaching is an issue there too. I just don't trust Kurt Miller.
Well, that's gonna work itself out.
That's a whole different subject. But like, why was she not starting to begin with?
That's a great question.
Politics.
Facts. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the college season because that's coming up very soon. I think we are 5 weeks away from the start of NCAA play, or no, 6 weeks away from NCAA play. Going to try, cross my fingers. I'm going to try and be in Charlotte for the ACC tip-off. So should be there doing some media days for them. I'm super excited. I'm just going to talk about my own personal team real quick, let the bias come through a little bit. Yes. So super excited to have Rory Harmon back, but we also did some major signings in this offseason too. So while we do have to play these juggernauts in the SEC of South Carolina and LSU, LSU is going to look different. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were in the past couple of seasons. Do I think they'll still be relevant? Absolutely. They're still probably going to be either second or third best within the conference, but they could be number 3. Now, as we know, South Carolina is going through some drama right now with Ashlyn Watkins. So they have lifted the suspension though, because there was a lot more to the situation that met the eye. So just kind of one of those situations before you even really speak on a situation, kind of let it unfold. Or that's what I do personally. Let it unfold before you decide to judge it, because it came out that she was trying to prevent somebody from driving who had been drinking and was incredibly emotional and had some mental problems going on at the time, and they were trying to prevent them. She was trying to prevent them from driving. So it was a very intricate situation, and I think this is one of those where you just kind of have to leave somebody, when you're 17 and 18 and you have friends that are a couple years younger, you kind of have to move on from that. And I think this is one of those situations where, Ashlyn she's 19. This young lady was, I don't know if she was 16 or if she was 17. But your brain is not fully developed at 16 and 17. You're a little bit of a crash out. And that's what she was doing.
Right. White Anthony says, Shao, I thought you was black. So random.
Random.
What's up, man?
That's funny. All right. So talk to me about y'all's college teams or what y'all see coming out of the college season.
I mean, Juju Watkins is the big talk. She's so much fun to watch.
For sure.
I hate doing comparisons, but like an easy way to compare her style of ball, she plays like Paul George.
Okay. I don't hate that.
She's got that game. But for me, I'm going to watch a lot of Georgetown. One of my kids is I'm hoping she's going to start. She's a freshman. Shout out Jada Wilson. That's one of my kids.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah, she's from this area, and her brother played on my team. I helped coach her too. So Georgetown's gonna be my team to watch. I don't know a lot about them. I know it's a young squad. It's a young squad. So we'll see what happens. They got like 5 or 6 freshmen on there.
Oh,
that's
so
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 freshmen. Yep. Okay. Only 2 seniors. Yeah, that's super young. So Georgetown's gonna be my squad to watch.
Steve, who you watching?
Well, my college is Central Michigan, and I know nobody outside of myself cares about that, so I won't care. I won't talk about that too much. Just not a lot of new players because it's obviously they're mid-major level. So at that, it's the transfer portal. So almost every year you're basically recruiting a whole new team. But I know that fall practice has started today, and definitely looking forward to getting up there because I live 15 minutes away from campus. So looking forward to getting up there sometime soon and watching some practices for both the men and the women. But the one thing nationally, I will say there is one date circled on my calendar already. It happens to be one day before my birthday, December 21st, when UConn and USC play each other. And that's, Paige versus Juju. That's going to be super fun. So nationally, that's what I'm looking forward to the most is December 21st. But yeah, me personally, I'm looking forward to how the new Chippewas, since both the men and the women have like 10 new players, literally from transfers and everything else. So it's just the transfer portal. It is what it is. The NIL years that we're in, the season era that we're in, the transfer portal era that we're in. So the mid-majors, it's like every year you get to see what your new team's going to look like. Because if they play well, they move up. And if they play bad or not play enough, they move down. So it's like, oh, well, let's see what happens. But yeah, December 21st. Looking forward to that.
I like it.
Give me a big game.
Cool.
Well,
who are you looking forward to watching?
Well, the women's UNC team will start their post Deja Kelly era.
Right. Where did she go?
I don't even remember anymore.
Okay.
Once she left the team, I just stopped paying attention to her.
I'll have to go look. I want to say Oregon. Maybe that's wrong.
That sounds like it might be right. Maybe.
Which I mean, she should fit right in. They love injuries over there.
You're right. I was gonna say, she spent a lot of time when she was part of the team as a injured player. So, it's gonna be a year where a lot of players are gonna need to step up. Because she was kind of like the focal point of the team, even though she didn't play all the time because of injuries.
Yeah, Oregon.
So it'll be.
I don't know. I don't know if that's a terrible place for her. I don't know why it seems that, and trust me, guys, because one of my players on the wings, Satu, she was an Oregon Duck. Like, she's injury prone. I don't know what it is about that Oregon program. Very similar to Kentucky when Calipari was there. Like, Kentucky guards they always got hurt. I mean, not just their guards, but typically their guards. And it's just something about that program, and I don't know if I want to put that on the Sabali genetics because it was her and her sister were a big part of those injuries. But Sabrina, when she came into the league, the first couple of years, she was dealing with injuries. It's just something about that program. So maybe they know how to deal with injured players, and maybe she can use it to her advantage. I don't know if she's going to be in the league, though. She may end up taking that Tia Cooper route. She's gorgeous. She may model. She may talk about basketball, but I don't know if she's going to play basketball.
Yeah, I think both the men's and women's UNC teams are going to have some interesting years. Some major pieces are being replaced. Not as many people are interested as coming as they once were. So we'll see how things play out. But I'll definitely be watching the ACC as a whole, men's and women's, and just kind of seeing how things go.
I'm interested in seeing how Syracuse looks post Daisha Fair. I mean, because she was so impactful for their program. I do love their coach, though. And so I think that they will still kind of bounce back. ACC is going to look different. Isn't Stanford in the ACC now?
Mm-hmm.
So ACC is going to be a little bit different.
I was gonna bring that up too. Obviously, we're seeing it in college football first, but for men's and women's basketball as well, we'll get it after football. But how the new conference realignment goes. I mean, USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington in the Big Ten, and what Texas, Oklahoma in the SEC, and those different it's one thing to play one Saturday football game, but if a team's flying to, if, for example, if Iowa's got to fly to Oregon on a Tuesday for a basketball game, like, what's that look like, right? So like, that's going to be really interesting.
That's going to be scheduled. I think you have to be,
yeah,
aware.
And right? I think like any conference that added Pac-12 teams, they know what's coming.
Yeah. Like Cal and Stanford in the ACC. How do you manage that? Because those are things that you should have looked at before you made these additions. So yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I do agree with that, and not just basketball, but all sports, soccer.
All sports, yeah, absolutely.
Baseball, all these things. Like how are you
all teams everything besides football, because football is once a week. Yeah, football is once a week, but everything else,
even football once a week, it sucks too, though. Because if you're a kid and you're a West Coast team and you've got to fly to the East Coast to play X amount of games, you're a kid from the East Coast, you got to fly to the West Coast. You still got classes unless you're going to play all the games on the weekends or during the holidays, classes and all that. How is it going to affect them as student athletes? Because they're supposed to be students first and athletes second. So,
yeah, no, it's definitely going to affect that.
Supposed to be, supposed to be was the key word in that sentence.
I had to include that.
But truthfully, though, and you're right. Yeah, I mean, you're right for football too. But like, I think more of, and not just basketball, but like you said, soccer, field hockey, volleyball, I mean, like all those, quote unquote Olympic sports, the quote unquote Olympic sports. And like I said, you can do smart things, like Hula said, you can do smart things like you fly out there and you play, let's just say it's Michigan, and you fly out there and you play USC on Friday and UCLA on Sunday and then fly back or something like that, or Thursday and Sunday or whatever, right? I mean, you do things like that, but it's still going to be, I think, an interesting transition, at least something to watch. But obviously,
I mean, it'll definitely be like a 2 or 3 year transition period. I don't think we're going to see the perfect product this season. It's going to take a little bit of time. So speaking of time, let's talk about NBA as our last topic. What are some of our expectations going into this season? We are 2 months away from, a month and a half away from preseason. You can talk about your own team. You can talk about any other team. Let's talk NBA. Anybody? You said no because you're a Hornets fan.
I'm curious on how Dallas is going to turn out.
Right.
I mean, it's a redemption for Luka. Everyone criticized his lack of defense, and they called it out in one game, expecting the next game he'd make that adjustment, and nothing happened. Right? Kyrie's going to be Kyrie, but Kyrie understands he's not the lead on that team. He oversees that lead, like he's the veteran, but it's Luka. So I like to see what happens, with Luka, but then also with, changes in the NBA, different players on different teams. How does that affect everything else, And I'm starting to feel like now the NBA is, because, in the past, I mean, it's not really, it is a trend. All right, let's just be real. You got consistent teams that win all the time, right? Win or lose, they're in the finals. It's cool. And it was finally cool to see some different teams. Like when we saw Milwaukee go, we're like, damn, we've never heard Milwaukee. Last time we heard Milwaukee was great. It was when they had Glenn Robinson, So it was cool to see that. And I feel like it's starting to become almost like that any given kind of Sunday kind of feel. Mm-hmm. Like the anticipation for this upcoming season, like, oh, I want to actually see what's going on. Because like a lot of the talks of how the trades were being done was dictated based on what happened with LeBron first.
Right.
And
the changes in the cap that are hitting, because we've hit that moment now. Like this was the last contracts, last signings this past off season before the new cap goes into place. And so, yikes, we definitely can see them changing their rosters, thinking ahead, because they're not going to be able to pay the same luxury tax that they used to pay before, aka the Warriors, because they were the ones that abused it the most in the last 4 to 5 years. So they're not going to be able to build their teams that way. And now you're starting to see criticisms coming out about front office and about coaches. And, you know, is Steve Kerr really a good coach? Those questions come out because, you know, really, are you a good coach, or did you pay to have the best players on your team? Like what we think about the Yankees for the longest, right?
I mean, I do feel like all right, he was hand given a silver platter.
Absolutely.
But he took that
but
silver
so
platter.
Becky Hammond. If we're going to say that, so was Becky Hammond, because Bill Laimbeer built that team.
But he took a silver platter and turned it platinum.
Absolutely.
You know, and then you know, had one of the top records of all time. Then you throw on a 4th star on the team and still won. So I mean, it's pretty consistent, you know.
And he's the only coach that I sit there and give leeway to that has no assistant coach time. Like, you never hear that, like, oh well, he never worked his way up the ladder. Like, you never hear that criticism of Steve Kerr, but we'll hold anybody else to that standard, but not Steve Kerr.
Yeah, so I do agree, because most players that turn coaches get criticized a lot, right? But he is a product of Phil Jackson, right? He's also a product of
Popovich.
And they both run triangle Princeton offense system, point system, and it works, you know. So, and then now we've seen him do it in the Olympics. As much as people want to criticize it, their system worked. It worked really well, you know. You know, obviously there's always going to be that conversation, dream team versus this team. I'm such an 80s and 90s dude. I don't know. This team was pretty legit. You know, they did struggle. Competition was a lot higher, but yeah. He's a good coach.
Denver Nuggets fans, calm down on Russell Westbrook. I want you guys to calm down.
No, I think it's a great addition. You need bench play.
No, but this is the problem. My fan base thinks they're getting Russell Westbrook from 5 years ago. And I want you guys to calm down now, because I don't want to have to hear you about to jump off the bridge when you see the version of Russell Westbrook that we actually have.
Right.
These guys are actually up here talking about he should be a starter.
No.
He's your top
Russell Westbrook and Jamal Murray together. That makes zero sense.
The only thing I can think of how that would work is, one, we've seen that. I agree with you 100%. Hypothetically, if Westbrook, all right, so we've seen him slightly transform into a role player, right? Obviously, age has a lot to do with that. Let's just say he's just the fast-paced Russ, pushing the ball up, not really shooting a lot, just playing defense. I think that kind of does help out, because they are a veteran playoff team now. We can actually say that. They've been in the playoffs long enough. Denver has.
But here's the reason.
So they have a little bit more speed to keep up with these other teams. I feel like that does help. But I do agree, this shit ain't going to work.
The reason why it wouldn't work is because he was brought in specifically to run the second unit. Because
as it should be. No, he's your top bench player. Like, I love him coming off of the bench. I love it.
And calm down on Michael Porter Jr. too, fellow Denver fans.
Oh,
don't know if he's going to be traded or not. I don't know. What I do know is it makes sense to trade him with the new salary cap coming and the amount of money that you would have to pay him to do what he does. And Aaron Gordon does almost the same thing, cheaper and more reliable on the defensive end, and isn't.
His availability is more. Yes. Is also. I think MPJ scores more. And so depending on who you're playing and who the matchup is with, I don't know that I necessarily say they give the exact same stats, similar stats, but MPJ is probably going to shoot better than Aaron Gordon.
But see, here's the thing. Aaron Gordon doesn't.
But who's going to play more games? I think availability.
Aaron Gordon's going to play more games.
You know?
Yeah. He's going to play more
games.
But
then Aaron Gordon be more on the defense game last year.
And he changed his number to 32. So when you switch the number, you reinvent yourself. So we get not number 50 Aaron Gordon anymore. We get number 32. So we get a different version. And thank you for appreciate y'all for doing that cut and allowing us to get them for the low, because I know we can only bring on players for the low.
I love when somebody brings up when they bring up Max Scherzer and like how much the Rangers are paying. We didn't pay Max Scherzer at all this year or last year. We got him for free for a year and a half. So agree. I like that. I think that's a great point. Thanks, Clippers.
Gotta definitely. And last thing, man, we got a lot of young guys on the team. Mike Malone, play your young players, or you're going to get yourself fired.
Agree.
Okay.
I think
the organization has let you know. I don't care that you won a championship 2 years ago. If you don't play your bench and you wear out the top 5 or 6 players again this year to where they look like they're about to fall asleep in a playoff clinching game 7, you're going to get fired.
They do look tired.
It was already his shit was already in trouble whenever Murray got hurt in the last like 8 seconds of the game, and in a non-winnable game, and he was still in there and tore his ACL. Like he was already like, oh shit, you almost lost your job.
Right. And then you go this past year, if you had just played the young players, given them minutes in situations, then you would have had people that you could have put in the game in the playoffs so the other guys could get a break. But you didn't want to do that. You want to ride the same guys until you ride them in the ground. And that will get you fired. That is a fireable offense. And I don't mind Mike Malone, but if you're not going to change with the changing dynamic of the team, kick rocks. You can go.
You got to adjust. You got to change because teams figure you out from year in and year out. Talk to us a little bit about Detroit or Golden State, whoever you want to talk about, Steve.
God, geez. I mean, Pistons, I just hope they're a little better. I mean, I like some of the pieces, but
I mean, y'all were fine, Cade. We didn't know that was going to happen. We really thought Cade was going to move on.
I mean, basically since 2006, it's been pretty bad. So I mean, luckily the 6 years before that was good, but man, it's been really bad since. Golden State, I am interested to see, how much Steph has left. He really wanted that Olympic gold, and I really and he played really, really, really well. And he does. I mean, obviously, you get a little bit of time off in between, but I don't know if maybe the rest would have done him better. So, well, we'll see. So, I'm interested in how the Warriors come out. Definitely hope the Pistons at least can win some games this year. Like more than 10 would be great. And then just for the bigger picture, besides what was already talked about, and kind of going on the Olympic thing, I'm interested to see. And I know they just won a championship, but I'm interested to see how Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum come out to start the year. Like, obviously, one didn't make the Olympics when a lot of people thought he should have, and the other one barely played the Olympics when a lot of people thought he should have. And
Golden State
and
Boston's gonna whoop y'all yes every time they play. They're gonna throw 40 apiece.
Steve Kerr played his people, and that's pretty much what happened. But they want to go battle, and quite frankly, LeBron and KD are better than Jason Tatum. So just have to deal with it.
But that's not an equal match.
But yeah,
I don't understand why people keep saying that. It's not an equal match. He didn't go in. He went in for KD a little bit, but he can play really anything from 2 to 4.
Yeah.
So that's not really an equal match.
I agree. I felt like the Team USA teams were working against themselves. And it was because of coaching. Same thing with Cheryl. She kept Fee in the game a lot of times when Fee wasn't performing. And especially that last matchup, it was way too close than it should have been. I semi-expected this out of the men's French team, but the women's French team, yes, don't get me wrong. Gabby Williams, amazing player. Maureen Johannes, great player. They have 2 really great role players as well. Like they got some people we know about. It's not to say that they're not good teams, but they were not the caliber of team that the United States were. And there's, I don't know. There's no reason it should have been 66-65.
Can we sign a couple of those South Sudan players to minimum deals for Dutch?
I like that.
Can we get a couple of those guys?
Right.
Wait, so going back to Jason Tatum in Boston, do you guys think Jaylen Brown's top shooting guard in the league?
Top shooting guard in the league.
I feel like because he's a two-way player, yeah.
I think he's the alpha dog on the team. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Personality-wise, maybe skill-wise, you want to argue Tatum, fine. Personality-wise and performance, consistently, you got to go Brown. And I think he would be better at small forward, but Tatum's there.
Right. Yeah. Tatum's got a little bit more height too.
He does.
Yeah, I mean he's there. He's definitely top 3. I'll put that. Anthony Edwards, I think, has to be in that conversation.
He is so much fun to watch.
He's so much fun to watch.
It's so refreshing. It's like
he's going to be ready in LA for the next Olympics.
It's almost like that quote that, what was his name? Was it Dr. J said that about Kobe? He's like, he's old school he's an old throwback with a new school twist. I feel like that's Anthony Edwards.
Right, agree.
Very, very like 1990 Michael-esque style.
And if we're going flashy shooting, which is that position, like classic to that position, I think you got to throw Mitchell in there.
Yeah. I would agree.
Now I'll say this. It is dependent on how this season goes because he done got rid of 2 coaches. He didn't move teams. If it's not working after this season, I don't know if I put him in that same conversation. But what he's done so far, yeah, top 3.
Yeah.
I agree.
Eventually it's got to be you, right? If it's done being everybody else, it's got to be you.
And real quick on the Spurs, I was not real big on the moves that we did during the off season. Some of our draft moves, obviously not Castle, but trading away some of our draft moves were question mark. What the fuck are we doing? But I don't know. And Chris Paul is not the guard that I wanted to sign. I wanted to sign DeJounte back.
Are you going to start Chris Paul? I hope not.
But I don't know. Trey Jones isn't a starter yet. I mean, I don't mind him coming off the bench. I think he's a great bench player.
I used to love Chris Paul so much, but then it fell off hard. I'm like, dude, you're not performing. Like, I don't know what it is. Like your style play, I love watching, but there's just something that's just not working. Like the game has evolved
past that. He's a lower scoring guard. He's always been that. He's never been that flashy guard. He's been the facilitator. And so, as age hit, and he was never really that much of a defensive guard either. So, I don't know. I think he has some, but not all-star defensive player.
Yeah.
No. So I'm sure he has plenty to teach the young talent coming out of San Antonio. I'm sure he does. And I think his best bet, if he wants to win a ring, is to stick with San Antonio. And it's not as a player. He's going to spend he's going to spend his last year playing for San Antonio. I think the man has an incredible basketball IQ. And so I think you transition like Becky did. You transition from playing for San Antonio to coaching San Antonio. And I think that would be a seamless transition. And in 3 seasons from now, so, 4 seasons away, maybe you win a ring with San Antonio.
I like that. That could make
But I would have much rather signed DeJounte back. That's what I wanted. That's what I needed. It didn't happen.
You can get him back. You play like 2K on PlayStation.
No thanks. I mean, I think he'll be great in New Orleans. Like, I think he will do well there. I'm not hating on the move. I felt like the names that we had for that position, like we were linked to Donovan Mitchell, not necessarily a team guy. There's question marks. Like, are you about yourself or are you about the team? Right. That didn't fly in San Antonio. Trae Young, you have to be a systematic guard in San Antonio, and he's not a system guard. He's not a system guy. So once again,
defense. You have to play some defense. Yeah.
You have to. I mean, it's system ball. We know what San Antonio is. It's going to be defense. It's going to be slower ball. It is what it is.
System. It's a triangle offense. It's the point system. Right. It's just yeah.
So I mean, it is what it is. And so out of those bigger names, DeJounte could fit that. He could fit the system. He knows Popovich. He loves Popovich. Like it wouldn't have been nothing for him to come back. But I understand going to New Orleans. New Orleans is closer to getting a championship right now than what San Antonio is. So I understand it. I don't know. I don't know what I feel like the ceiling is for New Orleans, though.
So I don't think it's championship this coming year.
Okay.
They play the long game, San Antonio. They do a good job of that. They play a long game. So Ann asked me earlier, real quick, who's my team? So bringing that back, I'm a Lakers fan, but I hate LeBron. But I was so not in favor of Bronny coming. I get why. If I was the dad, sure, I would bring my kid. But I wonder, are they gonna make him out to be like when Kobe came out, like, oh, you're bringing this young kid in, you're not gonna start him, throw him on the bench, but you're using him to bring in fans because people want to see what he's gonna do. Right. You know, and I already feel like it's kind of like the Lonzo Ball situation. When he first came in, he was a target. Like everyone, like I remember game 1, Lonzo Ball, Patrick Beverly was like, I got you, man. That's it. It was shut down real quick. I feel like that's what's gonna happen like with Bronny. So I'm curious in what the Lakers do. I kind of feel like they might tank this upcoming season. And then the season after that, they're going to go for some bigger trades. Okay. But that's like looking too far in the future. So, but that's like optimistic, but very pessimistic. Typical.
That definitely sums up my Cowboys.
I can't wait. I can't wait for that circus with JJ Redick coaching. Bronny, who should be at a solid D2 school instead is in the NBA. I can't wait. It's gonna be great. I can't wait.
Wow. Not a D2 school.
Wow.
Solid D2 school. Solid D2 school.
Agreed, 100%.
I know D2. I know tons of D2 players way better than.
Could have been at West Texas A&M. They make a run for the D2 championship the last couple of years.
Exactly. It would have been a good spot for him. If his last name was Anderson instead of James, that's where he'd be. And nobody would know who he is.
But here's the thing:
nobody cares about that.
You have to take into account the fact that this man had a cardiac incident. You know what I'm saying? A little bit before the season.
No, agree. Like, no. It's not that. It's not taking that out. He should have. They should have done that. They should have been like, "Hey, man, you didn't have a full first year. You should go back." It may not be USC. It may not have been USC, but you should have stayed in school, man.
You should have stayed in school. I agree, but D2. Dang.
No, let's be real about it. So, like, his
talent, he would not have been a D1 player if his last name was not James. He's not that good. He's that athletic, but he's that athletic, but he's not that good. It's just on. I'm just being honest. It's not his fault.
I coach varsity basketball, and I've been watching him since Sierra Canyon. He was not an All-American. He's not an All-American. I'm sorry.
I've had a basketball recruiting service for like 15 years. He's not high major D1 player. He's not.
I'll give him second team all state, if anything.
Okay, but Brycey though.
You know what? I have so much hope for him now. I'm watching him play, I'm just like,
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then the reason why the expectation is higher, not because of the James name. Let's be real. They're getting like $1.5 million training facility, all that stuff, health, all that, and that's all you're playing at that level, which is fine. Which is fine. It's more of like when we argue these, we all know the truth. It's the LeBron fans we got to argue. They see no wrong. They see no wrong. Like it's the next, of the next Messiah. Relax, calm down.
Hey, and if I was good enough to be in the NBA, I wasn't good enough to be in the NBA and had a chance to have my son play with me. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Of course,
it's an amazing story. It's incredible. It's an amazing story. I get it.
That is a cool story. No matter what, it's their own legacy. You get to say, "Hey, I played with my dad. My son got drafted." And I have a weird feeling 2 years, 3 years, we might see Bryce and LeBron might just hang around. So that is a cool legacy story that no one Like, there's no one in the league possibly that could do that right now.
No, you can't touch it.
Know,
no one can.
Yeah, kudos to the James family. That's really good marketing too, and good cementing your legacy as a family. But on other than I do need to head out, so I just want to appreciate y'all.
No, we're about to end. So, all right, guys, we appreciate everybody that came through, commented, shared. Really appreciate y'all coming through. I know it's been a long time. We will not be back next week because I'm going to be at the stadium. But eventually, probably WNBA playoffs, we will be back by then. So, appreciate you guys coming through, and we will see y'all soon.
Peace out.